Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to my little studio here at Fort Benning, Georgia. Today's Friday. I've got a day off from work. So I'm going to answer a question that I've gotten a little bit here and there quite frequently. And that is how I learned to scream. Now there's a few things I'll be touching on, but I'll save the main thing for the end, the most important thing that I've learned throughout my, 10 years of doing it, ever since I've discovered this one band in particular named Slipknot. Once I found them, that's when I kind of had my desire to scream, and I really kind of went for it. But so I've got a bunch of errands to do today. I got to go to the post office, and I might go to this one other spot. I'll save that as a little secret. But yeah, so I'm gonna walk you through how I figured out how to scream. So I'm about to start my errands. First stop is the post office. I sold my Marty Friedman Jackson thing and a distortion pedal that I hated. I just didn't use any of them anymore, and I didn't really like my Marty Friedman. So I'm getting rid of it. But anyway, so I'm in my truck because this is where I first attempted to scream it and have metal style vocals, and it was god awful, man, let me tell you. So this is 2008. I was a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and back when CDs were still a thing, 9.0 Live by The Knot was always in my CD player when I would drive, and I would listen to it at deafening volumes, like maxed out, bass all the way up, treble all the way up, and it was so loud, but it was so sweet. But anyway, so I was a busboy when I was a kid, and on my way to work, I would listen to that, and I would just scream it as loud as I could. And I only had a 10-minute ride to work, but by the time 10 minutes was up, it would be 2 songs in, my voice was shot. And people were like, why are you showing up to work? No voice. I don't know. I guess I'm sick. I knew why. It was because I was screaming Slipknot. So my advice, I guess, would be is not to do that. Not to use your throat and yell like you would to get somebody's attention, or to scream in pain. You don't physically yell from your throat. It's much more guttural and more I guess technique. So that's a funny little story I had. For the first time, the first 6 months I was attempting to do it, I would just scream, shout and drive. So don't do that. Don't physically yell from your throat. I'm going to the post office now. I'm gonna drop off my things and I'm gonna come back. Hello. So got back from the post office, UPS actually in particular, and they don't have any big enough boxes for my guitar, so I had to call another Audible. So I'm here at Everything Musical, located in the Columbus, Georgia area, and I'm gonna see if they can just give me a box, so I'm gonna go check it out. So I had to go around back to see if they have any boxes, and they do. Now it's just a matter of finding one that works. This one might work. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a winner. Alright. So, I always get sidetracked in a guitar store, man. I played like 2 different guitars, and everything just looks so cool, and I don't know. Anyway, back to screaming. So after I figured out hey, you can't actually yell, shout in your throat, I learned, I actually thought I was gonna be well, I guess it's not for me. I guess I can't do it. I guess Corey Taylor can yell and I can't. Little did I know there's actual technique to it. So then jump to 2-3 years later, I guess I just started trying again, and then just Googling on how to do it. And so what I've come to find out and what I've come to use personally is like envision just, I mean, everybody says it, just screaming from the diaphragm from your gut, not from your throat. So my recommendation is, and what I did was just start like whisper practicing, like start like just make, you're gonna look like an idiot. You're gonna look like an idiot regardless if you're screaming loud or whispering it. But that's what I did. I started like envisioning like the sound that I wanted, and I would just start doing it in like whisper mode, like, yeah, just, and then as you get louder and louder and you kind of like progress it, just again through the diaphragm, just like it's kind of like barky and kind of silly sounding. But eventually you'll get some like, God, I'm sure people looking at me crazy because I'm just sitting here going, yeah. So just start whispering it and start like shaping how you want your voice to sound. So now I'm gonna go get some lunch, and all right, I'm gonna spoil my quote-unquote secret because I don't think it's here anymore. There was a Halloween store around here, and I wanted to go look at Halloween stuff, but they're not here now. So I guess I don't have any Halloween stuff to look at today. It kind of sucks. But I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna get something to eat, and then I'm gonna talk about my final thing that I use in terms of screaming to make myself sound good.
On the right.
Spirit Halloween! I found it! So this is a little side thing. I love Halloween. It's my favorite time of year. And every year I try to find a Spirit Halloween or some Halloween store to just go and just geek out and feel like a 10-year-old kid getting ready to go trick-or-treating. So I just like to look at scary stuff. I love Halloween time, aka spooky time. So I'm just gonna go in there, and I've got an idea for a video. I might pick something up, but I'm just gonna go geek out real quick. What a day, what a day. Running around doing all kinds of stuff. Alright, so the last thing I'll talk about in terms of screaming, so you've got, don't use your throat, and practice and use it from the gut and start by whispering it. The last thing is, it's all about the mix and like learning how to make yourself sound good through a DAW or a digital audio workstation. So now I use Logic 10, and so for the record, just like I've been recording now and mixing and mastering my own stuff for about 6.5 months, and it's like a daily process of learning something new, finding out what works and what doesn't work. So I myself is still in this stage in terms of what sounds good. But when you're dealing with vocals, there's two things you got to worry about. First thing and most important thing is compression. Compression, for you guys that don't know, is like making, in a nutshell, making the quieter sounds louder and making the louder sounds quieter. And with vocals, your voice is very dynamic in terms of, your voice will be super loud and then it'll get super quiet, and it's all about, just about how much air you push out through your lungs and through your body into the microphone. It's different than like a guitar, where you hit a chord or you hit a string. The chord's gonna be a little bit louder versus one string, but it's still coming from like the same output, and it's not nearly as like, different compared to vocals. I'm trying to explain it as simple as possible in layman's terms. But yeah, so you definitely gotta have compression, especially with screaming. You gotta compress the crap out of them. I used for a while stock plugins through Logic, stock compressors, but I just used a Joey Sturgis gain reduction for my latest vocal performance, which was my quesadilla is coming up, which was Meridian by August Burns Red. I'll put a card right about here and check that out. And like to me, that's the best I've sounded in terms of vocals, and I've used that plugin. It really does make you sound really good and brings your vocals to life and makes them stand out. And then the second thing in terms of recording is gotta have a good microphone. I use a Shure SM58 with a pop screen in front of it. That way your P's and T's and everything where little bursts of air aren't hitting your microphone and making it like muddy. It's hard to explain. And lastly, you gotta watch your low end, because when you compress anything, but in particular vocals, it becomes very like boomy, and there's like this subsonic material in your track that you don't want to be there. And when you compress, especially, it'll muddy up your track, and your vocals will become super boomy, and that could be a problem. So when you're recording yourself, you really gotta watch all those things. So it's crazy how like, yeah, you can learn to scream, and like I could scream right now, like that's still funny to this day. Yeah, so like I just scream right now, but if I were to do that into a microphone and just have a dry track, it wouldn't stand out and it wouldn't sound very good without compression and like some EQing. So learning how to scream, especially if you want to be recording yourself, you got to learn how to make yourself sound good, especially. So this has been like a crash course lesson in my like 10-year journey of screaming. I figured out how to do it, but now into probably forever I'll be learning how to just tweak my performances and just make them sound better. So I hope this helps. I hope my ridiculousness of yelling in a parking lot at a guitar store helps you learn something. So I'll be posting more vocal covers here soon, and I'll always be posting videos. I got tons and tons of ideas up in this crazy head of mine, just a million things. It's like a bee's nest up there in terms of ideas. But I'm getting them all out in the form of products. So be sure to look out for many performances of vocals here in the future. That's it.